So in this video, we'll be finding the zeros of a polynomial when one zero is known. So the question is, find the zeros of the polynomial x cubed minus 20.5 x squared plus 137.5x minus 300. This video will help you in some of your practice problems as well as when doing assessment 10. And given, of course, that 5 is a zero. So the polynomial is this. We need to find all the zeros of the polynomial given that 5 is a zero. So we have already given one of the zeros, which is 5. And we need to find the other zeros. So how many are there? Because the polynomial is degree 3, there has to be 3 zeros altogether. So 1 is given, which is 5, and we need to find the other 2. Now we know that from factor theorem that if 5 is a 0, then x minus 5 is a factor. So the very first thing that we do is we are going to use synthetic division and divide by x minus 5. And the idea is when we do that, we get a remainder, and the remainder is the other quadratic factor. So when we solve that, we get the other two roots. It's pretty simple. So let's take 5. So because we are trying to divide by x minus 5, we are going to do synthetic with 5, and then so the other coefficients are 1, negative 20.5, 137.5, and negative 300, and then 1 goes down, and then 1 times 5 is 5, and then we're going to add these two, we get negative 14.5, and then we multiply negative 14.5 again with 5, and we get negative 72.5, and then we add these two, 137.5 and negative 72.5, and we get 60. Now again we multiply 60 with 5, right, and then we put it here, which is 300, we put it here, and negative 300 plus 300 is 0. We are not surprised because the remainder will be 0 because 5 is a 0, but we are more concerned about the quotient. The quotient that we get is x squared minus 15.5 plus 60. So x squared minus 15.5 plus 60, and this is the other factor. So one factor, by factor theorem, one factor is x minus 5, because this is degree 3 and this is 1. We need a quadratic factor, and that quadratic factor is a quotient, which is x squared minus 15.5 plus 60. So if we solve this factor, we set it equal to 0 and solve that, right, we get the other two zeros. Now, but that is easy to solve because this is a quadratic equation. We can easily solve it using the quadratic formula, and we had some practice questions to use the quadratic formula. So now it's a matter of using the quadratic formula straight away. So in this case, the negative b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So negative b is negative 15.5 x, sorry, so negative 15.5 is b, so b squared is negative 15.5 squared, minus 4 times a is what? A is 1 and c is 60. So we do that and we get what? The solution as x equals, we get two values for x equals 7.5 and 7.8. If you simplify this using a calculator, you will see that you get two values, x equals 7.5 and x equals 8, and those are the other two zeros. So the three zeros that we have are, one is already given to us, and we get two more, which is 7.5 is a 0 and 8 is a 0. So once again, in summary, what we did was, because we are given that 5 is a 0, we did synthetic division by x minus 5, and then naturally we would get a remainder 0, but we know that we get the quotient, which will be the other factor. So we extract the quotient from here, and we just simply set the quotient equal to 0, and we can solve it using the quadratic formula, and we get the other two zeros as the solutions on the quadratic formula, 7.5 and 8.